Hello. So we're going to give people a couple of minutes still to get online because nobody's on time these days. Until then, you could admire what is in front of you. If anybody can hear me, can somebody say that you can hear me? And if you can see me, please say you can see me in the comments. Way! Amazing. So I'm not on my good microphone today because technical, but hopefully this mic will be good enough. Oh, there's loads of you here. Hello all. So we'll give it another minute or two of my insane rambling before I actually start any useful content. Hello, hello, hello. I can see all of you guys. So hopefully I'll be able to keep up with the chat and answer any questions anybody has in the chat as we're going along. If I haven't answered your question, just answer it again. Shout at me, basically. Big caps so I can see it all. But we'll give it one more minute of random. I should have some knitting or some felting to do while we're waiting. But I can see quite a few of you on. I should have some elevator music. That would work. Or I could tell you about my wonderful shop while we're waiting. So I'm Jam. I run the Caledonian Wool Company, which is a small wool shop in Fort William, where I spin my own wool, I felt, I knit, I crochet, do everything, do classes. It's really good fun. Thank you, Michael. Exactly. I don't know, there might be a wee delay on what I'm saying and what I see in the comments. It could be a minute or two delay. But yeah, I got a little shop. I only stock British wool. And I've got local crafts, I've got local pottery, I've got my mum's wonderful pottery. What else have I got? I've got buttons, fibre for doing all this with. Yeah, it keeps me out of trouble. Hi, Mum and Dad. Oh, and this video will stay up on my YouTube channel afterwards. I'm also going to do an edit of it where it's going to be a sort of more concise what we're doing tonight without as much insane rambling. Okay, so hopefully, let's go for it. Hopefully everybody's here. If not, they can catch up. So a very brief introduction, if you haven't needle felted before, into what we're going to be doing tonight. So what we've got in front of me is we've got our needle felting mat. This is really important. It stops you damaging the table, it helps you felt, stops you stabbing your own leg if you were to say do it on your leg. Please don't. Needle felting uses sharp barbed needles. Let's see if that's going to focus. Probably not. But this is a long sharp needle with little barbs along the side. So it is, as crafts go, quite dangerous. Because what we're doing is we'll be using the needles to stab this loose fluffy wool onto the backing felt we've got here to make a picture. This picture here. So when you're working with the needles, you can just hold them straight like this. Or in the starter kit I sent out to some of you guys, you've also got your needle holder. So this little guy, I'll show you how to use it. This makes it easier to just hold and manipulate the needle. So you pull out the wee plug. You've got a fat end and a thin end. So you want to place your needle with the little hook on the thin end, and then you can replace it in there, and that just gives you some extra grip. I tend not to use it, and sometimes I even cheat. You can get these with multiple needles fitted in them, or you can just hold multiple needles together at the same time. So I use multiple needles a lot at the same time. So that's the needles. The felt that we've got, so this is, it's come off the sheep, it's been washed and dyed, and it's been brushed so that all the individual fibres lay out parallel to each other. So when you're working with this, to separate little bits, you'd grab one end and pull out. And what you've got here is individual hairs. So it looks nice and easy. So you just grab one end and pull. But if you have any twist in your roving, you can't pull it apart. So always make sure, even just a little, always make sure it's lying flat. And if you've got your hands too close together, you're grabbing onto both ends of the hair. So it's not going to break. So you want to have your hands nice and far apart and pull gently to pull off little bits. And then, so we've done needles, we've done roving, or tops. It's got various names. What you've got in your kits is some felt with a picture on it. So this is called pre-felt. So it's wool that's been slightly felted, but not too much. You can still felt it more, and it's a really good base to work on when we're felting. And I will keep going out of shot, so I'll keep trying to get it back in again. So that's a very brief introduction. So we might as well just get started felting, I reckon. Rona, shout if I'm going too fast for you. So we're going to make this picture here. So this is Ben Nevis in the snow. There's a few key points that we're going to work with. So I always try and work from the back, furthest away thing, closest, so that you're working on top of what you've done before. So we're going to start at the back and work forward. And we're also every so often going to take our frame and either hold the frame over it or completely put it in the frame. Stand back from your work and just see how it's coming along. Because sometimes if you're staring at it for too long, you can't see it anymore. You need to step back, hold it upside down, walk away, take a photograph of it, make your eyes go squinty. Okay, so let's get started, because I will continue to ramble as we're felting. So I'm going to start at the back. So in the pack, you've got all your different colours. We're going to start with the nice blue. Let's get that there so you can see it. And we're going to start with the sky. So you'd be amazed at how thin and how little you need to make colour. So always start thinner, I would say, and then build up thicker as you go. So I've just placed the wool. For the sky, I'm going to place it horizontally, because the different ways you lay down the fibre for felting can create different effects. But just now I'm going to start with the back. I'm just going to stab. So I'm stabbing. So this is a very important bit. Not my hand. My hand is far away. It does hurt. Please don't stab yourself, although you probably will. I'll stab myself at least 2 times, I reckon, tonight. You're going up and down. You're trying to go as straight as possible. You never want to go in and bend the needle, because then the needle will snap, and that can happen quite a lot. So you're aiming for up and down and just working all over the area that you're trying to cover. You can move the fibre, so you can shift it and go down, but you never want to put any pressure on the needle. I'm going to go around. I am trying to keep vaguely within the lines, but it's better to go over the lines than be too far in, because then you'll get a white gap around the edge. So you should have your nice handy template on the felt. So even if I go over this line, it's okay. Because I'm working from the back to the front, I'm going to lay the hill on top of it. So again, I'm going to stab away. Hopefully you guys can all see that okay. And just put that down. I'll put a wee bit more up the top, because I can still see my line, which I don't want to see. I'm just laying this down nice and flat. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it perfect just now. I'm going to build up the overall picture first, and then go back in and work on the individual bits later on. I keep looking at my screen to check I'm in focus. I'm definitely going to stab my finger when I'm doing that. I'm not looking where I'm felting. Always look where you're felting. A little bit more there, and then for the initial blue, I'm quite happy with that. If you want, you've got white in your pack as well, so you can put some little clouds in there as well if you want to add a little bit of white on top, or a slight fade. So I'm putting just the absolute thinnest amount of white just at the top half, just to give it a sort of a slight sense of depth, shall we say. So I'm happy with that background. A wee bit more there. And then this is another very important thing to do as you're felting along. So the process of felting is where this needle is picking up little strands and stabbing them through the fiber. So what this is doing is pushing them through, and they're going into the mat below. So every so often you want to pull them all off the mat and place them back down again. And you'll see on the back of this a little felt imprint. It's very cool. They're like standing up little felt bits. So pull it off, give it a wee smush about. As you're pulling it, you can also move it and squish it. Because this is pre-felt, it's quite malleable. So if you've gone horrendously wrong in places, you can rectify it a little bit there. So that's the sky as far as I'm going to go just now. I'll level it up again. And we're going to start on this little hill at the back here, because this is the furthest, in my mind, this is the furthest away one there. So you can see it starts at white at the top, going to brown. But this, you can see through the white that there is brown underneath. So I'm going to grab a mixture, I think, of a couple of browns. So this dark, the darkest brown, a little bit of this brown, and some of this brown as well. And I'm going to make that into that hill. So I'm just going to, I laid the three colours on top of each other. And I'm just blending them slightly by pulling them and placing them back on top of each other. If there's any lumps, you can get rid of them that way. But this should give a nice, this is probably even too much for that little hill. There we go. That little hill there at the back, because it's in the distance, it's quite far away, it can be quite dark. Oh, Rona, am I going a little bit fast? If you want me to pop back over anything, just say. Was it the blending that was a wee bit fast? So we've got that little hill there. Yeah, so the browns that I've used all three of the browns to make the hill. I pulled a little bit from each. And then with them all together, pulled the apart, lay it on top again, grabbed it, pulled them apart, and this is just, it slightly blends the colours together. And then you get a nice blended, but we're going, it's more on the dark side. Yeah, definitely. So I'm reading your comments as we're doing this. Definitely gently pull them apart. I would not advise snipping bits off with scissors. The only time when I would snip bits off with scissors is closer to the end if you're wanting very specific textures. So yeah, always pull them apart gently. I don't even know, my scissors are way over there somewhere. I'm not planning on using them tonight. So we've got a little bit of the dark brown coming in, and now I want that to have a snowy top. Oh, straighten up. So again, less is more at this point. So I'm pulling just the thinnest. This is even too much, half of the, maybe this much, yeah. Thinnest amount. So you can see that's barely anything there. And I'm going to lay that on the top half of this back mountain. Now, I keep saying be thin, use little, be gentle, but the wonderful thing about needle felting is that if you've made a mistake and you put in too much or you just don't like it at all, because especially at this stage, it's all very loosely held in, you can just pull it back off and it's gone. It never happened. Nobody needs to know. So you've got that freedom. Don't panic if you don't get it immediately first time. You've got that shifting space. So I'm going to put that little bit of snow on there. So I'm doing it at the moment straight, but with the snow you can zhuzh it. Let's say zhuzh it. So instead of it being straight, I've kind of pulled it in different directions and made it a fluffy cloud ball. And that, when laid down, will give you a little bit more texture, and the fibers going in different directions, which can be really fun technique. I don't want to put too much white too close to this hill line here. The line coming down there, because I want the hill in front to stand forward, I want to make sure that it's got almost a shadow. So I'm going to pull my white back just a little bit and leave essentially what will be a shadow there. You can have a little bit there, but not too much. That'll just bring this bit, the Ben Nevis, which this one is, we'll bring that to the front a little bit easier. I'm going to work. So if you're working a lot in one area, it will start to sink in slightly. So it can help to work around the top as well, around the whole area that you're working on, just to push it all in evenly, or you can also remember and pull it out. The edge of my snow, I'm going to work that a little bit. I'm just going to pull a few of the hairs down, or the fibers down, so it pulls it down. There we go. And then I have that snowy hill. And there. Perfect. So it's not finished by any means, but it's enough there that I'm happy with it to carry on, because we're just blocking out all of the colours here just now. We don't need to felt anything in completely properly. We're just getting the overall picture, and then we're going to work in on it again. So I'm going to start on the Ben now. So the Ben, you can see it's pure white at the top. There is no dark behind that. And as I'm working down, the brown starts to come in. So I'm going to start my brown from about there. And this time I've got a lot more orange in the Ben. So I'm going to grab a good little handful of this orange. And this orange is also going to spread over to the next hill. So it's going to go right the way across. So I'm going to build up. So here we blended the colours. Ooh, this screen is reversed, so I'm moving everything the wrong way. Here we blended the colours beforehand. But on the Ben, I'm going to try a different method. And we're going to lay the colours down and build them up just as we're going. So that's a little bit too much even. So I'm going to pop that down. put that right across there. And then start. So I'm following that line there, the water line. A little bit more there. You can see the water line there. It's a dark brown line there, but I'm leaving that till later. I'm going to pop a little bit of this over the top. Oh, there's still a bit of grass in there. There we go. That adds to the scene. It's a deliberate effect. Oh, there we go. So by layering up little colours on top, the base colour will still shine through and you'll get lovely textures over the top. I think I want a little bit higher with this red, this orange, sorry. But here, so I have been laying it parallel. I'm wanting to follow the curve. So these ends that are pushing up here, I'm going to follow them down, pull them down and felt them into the direction I want them to go. So I'm going to start by putting, I keep moving this mat, I need to tape it down I think next time. I'm going to put some white in for the top of the ben. And so for the top, keeping it as a whole, curving this edge. And you see these ends, so these ends are going to come down and spill down, like the ones there. So I'm changing the direction that I lay the fibres down, gives it that nice, there we go. So let's start just loosely tacking them down. Again, so for here, because the other hill's in front of it, it's not too important about what's going on here. So I can even, I'm going to bend these back and follow them down. So I've used both ends to make this bit going down. So I think I want my bend to be a little bit higher here. Oh, Katie, please don't stab yourself. It is a hazard of needle felting. It just adds more excitement to it. There we go. So I've got the white. And I'm going to put some more white. Oh, yes. Thank you, Katie. It is the hopefully you can see it. Focus. The brownie orange. I should really give them interesting names. I'll do that for next time. So again, I'm laying some that way so that it pulls down and gives you that snow-covered effect down there. Again, I can, because this, in my head, the top of this bit here, the snow is going to be all, it's not going to be laying flat, it'll be all over the place and there'll be bumps and dunks. So I can make this smooshy, which is definitely the technical term, up the top. So we've got the nice solid white coming down to colour. Now we're going to work on this last little hill a little bit, and again it's white at the top going to brown, so I'm going to pop in a bit more of this orangey brown. And if like here I want to add more, but I want it to be underneath this bit as it goes along, so I could either fold it over, but then you're going to get an end, or I can pick up and hide it under what you've already got. So that's a sneaky little tip if you want something to go underneath something else. Right, So I've got the brown up there, so I'm going to do a bit more white. But you'll notice there's a, so in order to distinguish this one, there is a shadow. So there's a shadow here. So with, we're going to bring in the new color. So this is a light gray we've got. And I'm going to start a little bit of a shadow on the hill of the Ben Hill, before I put the white on top of it. So just again, the thinnest little bit. Don't listen to my technical terms. I make them up as I go along. Oh, and my technical term for all of you guys, I don't know if I said this at the beginning, is you're all my squishies. So hello, my squishies. There you go. So I've got a little bit of shadow. I might even put a titchy bit more shadow there. Or maybe I'll do a quiz at the end where I quiz you on all the technical terms I've used. Someone hopefully is taking notes. There we go. So I'm going to take the white now and just pop that hill in there. I think, again, I want it to go around and come down. So I'm just moving it to see how much ends I want to come down. If you want more ends or less wool, you can double it over. So I'm going to squish that all in there. So don't worry too much about how it, this might sound weird, don't worry too much about how it actually looks just now. We will be tidying up, neatening up. This is just, so when painters are blocking out the base colours before they go into all the detail. So even if it doesn't just now, it might not look perfection. It will be perfection. So I haven't for a while pulled it up. So I'm just going to gently pull it up. See how it's looking. I've got a nice bits on the back. And at this stage as well, you can give it a wee rough up, give it a wee wiggle, and some of these needle marks will then just magically disappear. But don't worry about your needle marks too much just now. There we go. So I think that's starting to look like a hill. I'm pretty happy with that. The top of the Ben isn't quite Ben shaped. But if your hill isn't Ben shaped, then just make up a name for your hill and it's that shape. And so therefore what you did is right. So I'm going to make mine slightly more. So the Ben has that distinctive sort of sloping top. I'm going to pull a little bit out and just pop it up there. So I'm going over the blue here, which is totally fine. Just to give it a little bit more. And I'm going, again, because the snow up here will be mushed up everywhere. So I'm doubling it back over to give that a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more of an edge. But whatever hill you make is the hill you meant to make. There we go. That's more like the pen. That's better. Perfect. Okay. We're going to come back. I will do it now. It's fine. So with the light grey, you all are making me giggle in the comments now. With the light grey, again, here we're wanting the tiniest amount. We're going to put a little bit of shadow just on the front of the Ben there. If you want to, you don't have to. But I like just that little bit of shadow just to give the snow a little bit of texture. So you can't, actually looking at my screen, you can't see how little I've put on. But in person it does just make that little bit of a difference. And it just gives it that little bit of texture to the snow. There we go. That's better. Perfect. Okay, so flying through this. Has everybody got their hills, hopefully? Oh, and I haven't mentioned yet, at some point in time, this camera is going to run out of battery. You're going to get a blank screen or a screen with an error message. I will very quickly change the battery and we'll keep going again. So do not worry if that happens. I will be back. You will still be able to hear me. You just won't be able to see me for a minute. So hopefully you've all caught up with me on the hills. So we're going to start at the bottom of the hill and then the water with the reflection in it. So for the very bottom of the hill, where essentially Fort William is, but there's also hills and trees. It's beautiful. We're going for the darkest of the browns. And I'm going over the white. I'm going to start putting in a little line of this dark brown. And that just gives it an edge. Got one snap needle? That is perfectly normal. Please dispose of your snap needles carefully. They are sharp and dangerous, and always it really helps to count your needles in and out, because they can get lost so easily and they are quite dangerous. So I've got the brown there. I'm going to soften that up a little bit with a little bit of the light, tiny bit of the lightest of the browns. Just softening it. But again, probably going to go over this bit a few times as we're working. And I reserve the right to change any part of this as I'm going along. So we're down to there. Perfect. And we're looking fairly similar to what I've got. I actually think I prefer the shape of this hill to the other one. So now we're going to start on the reflection. So we've got lots of the nice sky blue that's reflected in the... Aha! Broken needles are good luck. Yes, I completely agree with you. The reflection... Is it Loch Linney? Somebody correct me. Reflection of Loch Linney. So I'm going to cover this whole area in the blue and then work the reflection on top of that. Because like in real life, you're seeing the reflection of the hill on top of the water. And again, I'm especially at this point going to be going horizontally because the water, in my mind, looks like that. Oh, and everybody that's felting along today, oh, I'm going off screen again. Everyone that's felting along today, I do have a Facebook group now. The link is in the description below this video. I would love to see your finished ones in the Facebook group and chat about how it was, give me any feedback, but mostly I just want to see what you're doing. We've got all my lovely blue. Now I really like it when the water is really lightly felted in like that. I'm not going to leave it like that. I am going to go in again, but that lovely sort of wavy effect can be a thing, depending on how much. So if this was going to be behind glass or something, you can leave it very lightly felted in. Because they're going to be in the frame, people will be touching them. I felt it in quite well, but you've got that option depending on how you're viewing it. I'm going to take that off, and now is one of the key stages. So everything is essentially blocked out and shaped out. I'm going to take my frame now. I'm going to have a look at how it is looking for the frame. So you should all have the frame. So you hold the bolt, unscrew one end. So I've unscrewed my hand, and that's opening up this so that the middle bit can come out. So you want to open up this bolt as wide as possible, because it's got to take in the felt between it as well. So from experience, it's a lot easier to get this in the frame when it's not on the squishy felt bit. So I'm going to move this, pop that down there, pop that over there. Then where is my straight? Have a quick look at how that is coming out. So I'm just popping the frame over, and so the bit that's obviously in the frame is what you're going to see. Everything else we're going to chop away. So I've just trimmed that away. You can see it's all trimmed away there. So I'm quite happy with the layout there. Everything I want to be in is in. So I'm good to carry on going. So I'll just move that out of the way. Michael, you bring up a very good point. This is quite movement intensive. So if you're starting to get sore, just take a break. Good things come over time. Just be patient. Stop. Yeah, take a break. If it starts to hurt, stop. I think I've developed felting muscles and don't feel it anymore. But yeah, take a break. And admire, step back. Go and get a cup of tea, get a glass of wine. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to move this out of the way. So where are we? There we go. So let's work on the reflections. So to start off with, we've got a white line that sort of denotes the edge of the water. That really brings out the edge of the water. And I found was when it didn't have that, when I was first doing this, I really felt like something was missing. And as soon as I popped that little line in there, that was it. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm definitely, it's quite a thin amount. Oop. I'm just going to, so I've got it in two bits because one bit doesn't quite fit across. That's okay. And just fill that in. I might come back and put in a wee bit more later. We'll see. So after the white line, we've got the darker bit of the hill going to the light white. So with the darkest of the brown, again, less is so much more here. Tiniest bit. I'm just going to lay, so I'm leaving a gap between the white there and where I put the beginning of my reflection. So I'm putting that down, looking at that, that's a bit much even. There we go. So I've left that little gap there. I'm starting with my first darker one, just very lightly putting it in. The next one, because we went for a lot of that orange, so we're going to go for that, well, brownie orange again. I'm going to have to listen to myself when I edit this. I'm not looking forward to this. There we go. So again, just the tiniest amount, just there. There we go. On my screen it looks squinty, but in real life it does not. Is my screen squinty? We'll find out later. Maybe I'll pull that up a wee bit. You can at any point just hold this over it and work out if it looks okay. Yep, I'm quite happy with that. And then it's going into the white. So the white. So I'm going to put in quite a lot of white because the water will have white ripples anyway. I might even put white just over these brown ones as well. Oh, and a little bit of hay. The undyed colours especially tend to have bits of vegetable matter in them. So I'm even going to put a little bit of white over that brown just to blend it in, take it down, make some reflections, and it gives the brown a little bit of depth as well, which is really nice. So we've had one broken needle. Have we had any, oh, apart from Katie, have we had any finger stabs yet? So I'm fairly, yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to now take a couple of needles, I might even go for 3, and hold them together. So when I'm holding them together, I am lining them all up, like, it's not going to focus. Focus. Nope. I'm lining them all up on my thumb and pressing against them with my fingers to hold them parallel and in a sort of fan shape almost. And I'm still being very careful to go up and down and not stab myself or anything else. And I'm going to work over the whole thing, just felting it down. This is the point where I'm not going to look at what I'm doing and definitely stab myself. I'm going to give everything a good stab over and then take it off to have a look at it and decide the bits that I need to work on, bits I'm happy with, bits I'm going to change. Hope my camera's not jiggling too much. My plant in the distance is wiggling all over the place. Okay. Pulling that off. And when you pull it off, if you are not very careful about how you do it, which I'm not, it will shift. So you can make it look really wonky, but you can just straighten it back up again and get it into the shape you want. The more you felt it, the less you can do that. But there we go. We are essentially, everything is blocked out. Pretty happy with how it's all looking. And now it's just going in and adding in fine detail, felting over it, and keeping going. So what am I going to work on first? I'm going to work on the top of the ben. Right, first I'm going to hold it up and look so that I can see. Yeah. So I'm going to work on the hill just a wee bit more. I think I'm going to put in a little bit more shadows, a little bit more texture, and just blend so the gap between where there's snow and no snow. I want to work on that. Oh, we outshot. There we go. So I'm going to take the mid-brown and just really tease it apart and add that on top, just there, following this line to give this hill a little bit more definition. Now, if you don't like, if there's a specific one bit that you don't like, you can go in with your needle and really just pull it out and get rid of it. If it's not going in the right direction. There we go. I want a bit more shadow there. I'm going to go for the grey as well. That front hill to looks like it's coming in front of it. So I really should have done my homework and remembered what the other hills around Ben are called, but I can't. So somebody, hopefully. Thank you, Mark. So Mark, in fact, what are the 2 other hills in this picture called? going to put a little bit more up here. There's a little bit I'm not happy with the snow line up there. So this is the stage where you can spend hours, positive hours, just fiddling and playing, put some good TV on in the background, and just have a play. I want that to look more obvious. So I'm going to take the dark brown. I'm actually going to lift up this bit here. There's also a little bit of a gap there that I can see. Lift up this front bit here, because again, it's not actually that felted down yet. And pop the dark brown underneath, filling in that little bit there. I'm going to squish that bit in there and put it back on top. So this is just playing, even though I know a lot of this isn't going to be seen because it's out of frame. So that's another point. You don't have to put it in the frame if you don't want to. If you want to make this a big square picture, totally can. I am not, well, I am kind of telling you what to do, but I'm not telling you what to do. Thank you, Sarah. So the left, which is the left? Left is the CMD arete, and the right in front is meal and I should be able to pronounce my place names, but I cannot. Where was I? Oh yes, yeah. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to put the picture in the frame. God, do I have enough? The shading, I don't think in the Ben is going quite to the edge yet. So I'm possibly just going to pull that little bit of shading up and move it so it's coming right to the edge. Because if you want to change something, you don't have to add more in. You can play with what you've already got down. I'm noticing now there's a little gap where that hill hasn't gone quite as high as. Thank you, Donna. And Sarah, Mel and T. Thank you. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue just in there. Just to fill in that wee gap. There we go. So how are you guys all getting on? If anybody in the comments would like to tell me, are you at the same stage as I am? Are you a little bit behind? Because now is kind of the boring bit. The boring bit is where I'm just going to fiddle with stuff and repeatedly felt it until it's nicely felted in and the needle marks are becoming less pronounced. I'm going to go for 3. I'm going to pull it up and give it a quick shuggle. So you've got all these little needle marks in here. So you can give it a good rub. Ooh, my table's moving as well. To lessen them. You can use a fine, so you get different gauges. You get different gauges of felting needle. This is a sort of middle of the road one. You get coarse ones and you get really fine ones. So if you wanted to get a really fine finish, you can get a finer felting needle and working on top of it afterwards. You can also wet felt it, if anybody's wet felted before. Yeah, So you can wet felt it to finish it as well. But this, I don't think I even felted it that well, to be honest. And most of the needle marks are disappearing, especially when you look at it in person. You can steam set it as well. So you can get a steam iron, or I've got an actual clothes steamer, and I hold it so I don't actually touch the iron or the steamer to the work, but just gently steam on top of it. And that really sort of sets it and brings out the wool a little. So Rona, I'm so sorry I didn't put in enough of the brown. I will make sure for the next sets that are going out next month, I'll put in more fibre for you guys. And if you want me to sneak in a little bit extra to finish it off, give me a shout. I think I possibly use less. I use so little of each colour. If you're finding it's not spreading, you can pull up a little bit and spread it out as well. And Morgan, what did you do to Anachmore? So more ready brown all round. How am I finding? Let's have a look at this bit again. I think I want to put a little bit more of the mid brown, sorry, the light brown in the reflection. I think that's a little bit too light for me. It's not quite popping enough. Please, I know it's called fibre, Morgan, but please do not eat the wool. This is definitely the exciting bit where you're just watching me stab. I'm going to put in a little bit more of the dark brown along the base and bring that up the hill a little bit. I'm still going horizontally here because Fort William goes surprisingly high up. Cool, right. Stab a little bit more and then we're pretty much done. I reckon by the hour that'll be possibly me done. It's not candy floss. Add little shouts out as to who was where. So if anybody wants to shout out where you are, that would be fun. So I know we've got people, I think, far and wide just now. still want more. Do I want more definition there? Or am I happy with it just going down? I think I'm going to put a little bit of white just in the top there. Let's have a look. What do you think? Hello in Angus. There we go. That will, I think, be hidden in the frame anyway, but let's frame it up and see, shall we? So again, when I'm framing it up, I do it, it's a lot easier to do it off the mat, so you've got something to press against. I found when I was trying to frame it on a mat, it did not go well. There we go. So pull it off. And at this stage as well, you can put it in frame, but also smoosh it, pull it. It's still quite, it's starting to feel, so feeling it now, I can feel the thickness of the wool. I can feel it starting to stiffen up. So when I pull it, I've got less movement. There's still movement, but less movement around and about. So I'm feeling for where the frame is and placing it. So I've got a little bit of wiggle room just now. I can pull down more of the sky, or I can pull more of the water. That's the nice thing about doing a little bit too much, is that you've got that play. I should be doing this straight for you guys. There we go. You've got that play. So I want a little bit more sky than that. Hello, Angus. No, Angus. Hello, Glasgow. There we go. So pop that on. And then once it's on, I'm going to pull it down, and you can tighten it up if it needs it. And then have a look without all your ends. So hide, just for just now, just hide them in and see if you're happy with that. Let's compare it to the other one. So my hill's a little bit different, but I like that. I think I kind of like this hill better. I do think I'm going to move it down a little bit, have a little bit more of the sky. And I've also noticed that this water's not going quite to the edge, so I'm going to go back and fix that in a minute. But first, let's see it with a little bit more sky. You can see when you're popping it over, it is stretching it slightly. Oh, I tightened up. Loosen. And the next hardest bit is getting this top bit to be straight, so that when you do hang it up, because you can hang, it can be easier just popping it over a nail. You want it to hang straight. So that's definitely not straight, but I like that amount of sky to lock ratio. But I've noticed these bits aren't straight, so I'm going to go back and fix it. Hello, Jude. I wondered who that was. I'm going to pull these ends, pull them up and across, so that they definitely go out of the frame. I might even put a little bit more colour in. So I'm going to go for that light. Light across. I think I even want a little bit more going down. Whoop, straighten. There we go. That's better. A little bit more white on top of the brown, just to give it that little bit of depth. Excellent. I'm pretty happy with that. For an hour's work, that's not half bad. So now that everything I'm fairly happy with, and everything is getting fairly felted in, I would, if it was just me, I would stop, put it aside for the night, for a couple of days, and before I framed it, and have a look at it with fresh eyes in the morning or a little bit later, and just give it another wee felt and see if there's anything you want to change, if you want to put anything extra in, take anything away, anything glaring before you cut, because once you've put it in and cut around the edge, then you can't uncut. So I would definitely give it some thinking time before you finish the official frame. Another needle. So Rona, needles do break all the time. That's perfectly normal. I would say possibly make sure you're definitely stabbing straight up and down and not bending at all as you're going in. You can stab at an angle, but make sure it's definitely always going straight and you're not moving, but needles break. This is why in the kits I send out, so in the starter kit you got 5 needles, the holder and all that jazz, but every month when I send out these kits you'll get an extra 3 needles just for breakage. So hopefully if you break less than 3 each time, we're on to a winner. Hopefully we're not gonna go for 3. I mean, you can try. Now I'm going to go back. I'm definitely wanting that white's disappearing, because as you're felting, the colours are getting pulled in and pulled to the back. So if you've only got a little, it can disappear. So I'm going to pull a little bit more of the white and give that a little bit more white there. I'm going to do that with the single needle though. Pull that down. So I think I have taken up enough of my squishies. Beautiful time. I'm going to frame this up and let you guys see how far I'm finished it, and then leave you guys to carry on felting or go and get another cup of tea, glass of wine. So hopefully, before I go, if anybody has any questions, if you pop them in the comments, I'll answer them immediately. This video will be up afterwards. I'm going to leave it as it is live on the channel for anyone to see, or for you guys to re-watch again and again. I'm reading the comments. Rewatch again and again. But I will also be editing this down to a concise, short, less of me rambling video in the next few days, and that'll go up soon. But yeah, feel free to watch this again. Sorry for everything I've said. What's next month? So next month we have, I'm just going to quickly check what I'm doing. So next month we are doing Ashig Bay. And Ashig is a beautiful beach on Skye that I used to live next to, and it is stunning. So we're going to get a beautiful beach and the red coolins behind it. Thank you for your nice comments, everybody. Yeah, so next month, so you've people that have already signed up, that'll get posted out at the beginning of the month for you. If you haven't signed up, you can sign up on my website. The link is in the description. If you could all, this is the YouTube thing. If you could give me a like and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate that. Join my squishy army. Yeah, but all the information is on my website. If you want to sign up, you can sign up. And these kits with more of the light brown should be available on my website as a standalone item in the next week or so. I'm making no promises. But yeah. So thank you. Let's put it in its frame. So thank you guys for felting along with me tonight. I have had brilliant fun. And I'm so excited. So if you can leave pictures in the Facebook group, the link is in the description, of what you guys have done. I would love to see them. Feel free to chat, leave any comments there in the Facebook group as well. I appreciate them all. So let's get this level. This is the hardest part. Oh, and I've tightened it. Let's get a new level. And in. Just tightening up there. And there we have it. Ben Nevis in, straighten. Ben Nevis in the snow. See if we can get rid of the perfect. And all the fluff in the corner. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to sign off. But yeah, you've done brilliantly, I'm sure. Don't eat your mountains. Thank you, my squishies. Subscribe and like down below. Yeah, have a wonderful evening. And don't stab yourselves. Oh, end stream.